Welcome to our podcast. This month we read, what did we read? The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by
Kellye, you
B.E. Schwab.
Schwab.
So, thoughts. Do we
I
have
have them.
initial thoughts? Is there anything you guys wanted to talk about other than the questions that I sent you?
I wish I had the time to go back and actually give this book the time it deserved.
I had questions about the numbers.
Oh, on the chapters? I figured if I had
Roman numerals.
Well, because they felt random.
They're not in order. They're not 1, 2, 3, 4.
I can't read Roman numerals, so.
Oh, well, if in the audiobook it tells you.
In the audiobook, it still says 13, 4, 11.
I wasn't
12,
paying attention to that.
27.
Okay, what if you took all those numbers and put them in order? Would it be from when Addie became...
Maybe.
When Addie made the deal all the way up to the end?
Possibly.
If you took them and put them in order by, time. If it went from,
so if you found it
in Paris, Addie in Italy, Addie, and it's go 1, 2, 3, 4, like that.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't have the energy. I don't know.
Do it right now. Figure it out.
I don't know, because this chapter says New York City, March 13th, 2014. That's Henry. And then it says, okay, so then that one is, what is that? 14? XIV. That's 14, right? And then the next chapter is New York City, March 15th, 2014, 2.
Oh, I don't know then.
So it says the novel is divided into parts, and each part denoted by Roman numerals. The story is structured with these Roman numeral sections to indicate shifts in time and narrative focus. The Roman numerals are not a central plot element or a code to be deciphered. They simply mark the different stages of Addie's long, invisible life.
So they're pointless.
Because time is pointless when you live forever.
So
okay, cool. Cool. Glad we figured that out. They mean nothing.
Glad you noticed it.
I wonder though if you put them in, it might not be a code to be deciphered, but I wonder if you put them in order.
Oh no, I'm sure that's exactly what they mean. I'm just saying that they serve no real purpose.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know what they meant to begin with, and I followed the story fine. So they're pointless. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Schwab.
I think is it a woman?
Yeah. I saw a picture of her.
Oh.
I think it's a woman. Okay, question. Are you ready?
Oh, it is a woman.
What is a person without memory? Addie spends centuries without leaving a mark. No name, no face remembered. How does that shape her sense of identity? And would you have made the same deal?
That's a lot of questions in one.
I mean, it's 2 questions, but...
One question.
So I found it interesting because... So when she's able to, use Henry's finger to write her name on the wall, and, they're like, it's not really any different than any of the other things on the wall, but, it's her name, and she hasn't been able to write it or see it or whatever, hear it for 300 years. And so they're like, it's not different, but yet it is different. And then I was thinking about in Shakespeare when they're like, what is a rose if by any other name, right? It's still a rose or whatever. And so I think a lot of people, when they use that quote from Shakespeare, are kind of like, names of things don't mean anything. They're just sounds that was assigned to a person. But I think I like Addie's story and her, just how important names really are. I think they do have meaning and weight.
A name lays claim to something, and no one claims Addie.
Right. She's and she was that name is mine.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's part of what kept her looking forward to Luke's visits was that he would say her name, whereas like everybody else would have to call her something else because she couldn't tell him what her real name was.
Yeah.
But he called her a name that she didn't actually like. Like, she didn't really want to be called Adeline, or the narrator called her Adeline. Anyways, but Henry called her Addie, which was the name that she wanted. And I thought that was important.
I think, wasn't it because her mom called her Adeline? And
yeah, her mom thought that Addie was too masculine of a name.
So her dad had like given her the nickname, and then the old lady by the river, she called her that too. And then, so she didn't have a very good relationship with her mother, apparently. She didn't like the name she called her. So, would you have, so the second part of the question is, would you have made the same deal? I am not quite certain that Addie really understood the deal she made when she made it. Because, first of all, he didn't, like, stipulate what exactly the deal was. She was like, I want to, I don't remember what she asked for. She wants to live a life.
Yeah, she wanted to be free.
Yeah. So, and then he's like, cool, done, boom. But I don't think he ever laid out, like, nobody's going to remember you. Like,
well no, he didn't. Because she went back to her house, and her parents were like, who are you? And she kind of had to find all the rules and the loopholes and stuff on her own, and as she went.
Yeah. And I mean, Luke was out to trick her. Like, his goal was to get her soul. So she was so vague about what she actually wanted. And so he took the opportunity to trick her into making this deal so that it was harder for her. And then that way she would give up throughout her time so that he would get her soul.
Yeah. Because
I do like that Addie, like, used her time. Like, I thought that was really cool. That she wasn't just like, oh, because a lot of times stories have, like, these immortal people who are bored. And then they just cause trouble. And Addie seemed to, like, actually enjoy the world. And she, like, loved art, and she loved all of these things, and she was excited about things and excited to experience new things. And so, anyways, I really like that part. What were you going to say, Jill?
Well, no, I was just going to go back to her not knowing, like, the rules and what she was actually making a deal for. Because even when she went to, what was her, Estelle's house, and she was like, Estelle, like, the first time she opened the door, she was like, go out, know you. And then Addie's like bawling on her porch, and then Estelle opens the door again, and she like didn't realize that, like, the, being out of sight of people, they would forget her. And so when she opens the door again, she's like, what is going on? Like, I can only imagine, like, just suddenly hearing somebody like wailing on your doorstep. And you're like, who are you and why are you here? Okay, I'll go get you something to help. And then, like, closing the door. But yeah, she had to learn all of that on her own as it went.
I think it would be super frustrating to, like, meet people over and over and over again and have the same exact conversation. And then that makes me think, like, would you actually have the same exact conversation with,
like, every time she meets B, even though it's in different locations and different situations, she's like, you just have a timeless face. Like,
well, and it's interesting to me that she, like, meets these guys and she spends months with them, but she meets them, like, every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, it's just so fascinating to me that she's able to just start a new relationship, but then they seem like so she can, like, they get so deep so fast. Like, these guys just become comfortable with this stranger.
I think it would be hard to remember. Well, I mean, maybe not after 300 years, but I think that it would be hard to remember that these people don't know me as well as I know them. Like,
mm-hmm.
Well, even like with the girl,
something, and they'd be like,
Sam, that she would, like, see on the porch, or not the porch, the roof. or whatever, there was that one time that, or like the last time that she had like gone up to the roof and like Sam was with all of her friends and they were like talking and she was like, I have to like hold back a little bit because Sam doesn't know we have the same relationship that I know we have. And like, you know, and then Sam just walked away that night instead of like continuing the relationship with Addie. But I mean, it's like that every single day for her.
And Addie starts to learn how to like use the information that she gathers, like with Robbie. She like over time she starts to learn what will diffuse his anger faster. So then she can meet him and just like immediately be like, "Oh, you're a great actor and Henry talks about you all the time and I'm going to come see a show." And he's like, "Oh yeah, okay."
I guess.
Yeah, she learns to flatter. She did the same thing with that lady, where she was like, I have met this person more than once, but she doesn't know that. And she was like, she's like testing like what is going to get the best reaction out of this person to get the outcome that she wanted.
Yeah.
She wanted to be invited to her salon or something for an art something or other. And then that's when Luke shows up and was like, that person's a thief.
Yeah. Or with the baker, she knows that if she speaks French to him, that he'll just give her stuff.
Yeah.
Like, she just over time learned how to use the fact that people don't remember her to her advantage.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Did we answer that question sufficiently?
Well,
okay, wait.
You asked if we would make the same deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I think is like, it's hard for me to think about because she was she made the deal out of desperation.
Really white. Sorry. I'm like, go ahead. Keep going.
So she made the deal out of like desperation, and obviously she didn't understand the full depths of it. She just didn't want the other option, right? She didn't want to have to go back and get married and be stuck.
Yeah.
And I don't really know.
She didn't even like.
Yeah.
Like, basically, they were like, oh, this guy doesn't have a wife because his wife died in childbirth. You're his new wife.
Right. And you're old, so nobody else really wants you. So you can be a stepmom now. Yeah. So, I mean, I get that, but I don't know that I could say, I don't know. I've never been that desperate to pray to the devil.
Well, I don't think she was meaning to.
No, she didn't. I think later in the book, she says that she didn't realize how late in the day it was.
Yeah.
When she was praying. And so she didn't realize that it was turning dark. And
because when she runs away, it's still day. But by the time she like puts whatever it is in the ground, it turns to night.
But I think it's like a hard thing to say, like, would I ever do that? Like, would I ever give up everything to not be in a situation that I'm trying to run from? I don't know.
I think I would be too scared to do anything. Like, I'm so afraid of authority. I would be like, if there's something more than this guy? Like, but also,
you mean like,
but do you think, don't you think it would be intimidating though? Also, like, do you think you would have the power to say no?
I don't know. I think it's the same that I've never been that desperate. But I don't know. I imagine.
So this is what I imagine Luke even looking like. I imagined like Hades from Hercules, only like a more real life version, but just kind of this like taller, lankier.
Except for he shows up looking exactly like the guy she's been drawing.
Yeah, I imagine him being a little more good looking, not like some old guy, but like I don't know, like he has that feel, like he just kind of like poofs.
I imagine like
Timothy
Chalamet showed up for her.
I don't know who that is.
I'll find it.
I would imagine if somebody just like appeared out of the shadows, like that's also very intimidating, I think.
Yes.
And so
I mean, that's the whole reason he took that form though, is because he was like, this will help her, like, I don't know, respond to me better, I guess.
Okay, that's fair.
That's what I imagined. Like someone who looks very normal, not like
I mean, I'm not saying like
scary.
I'm not saying like the blue flame hair, but like somebody that they would cast for like a live action role of Hades, like a chiseled jaw, like I don't know. I don't know.
I get the vibes. It was not what I imagined.
But
my book also has pictures in it. I don't know if your guys' books had pictures in it.
No.
Do they have a picture of him?
He's a lot of it's a lot of different types of art. Like this is just him as a shadow.
People gotta go check out the YouTube if you want to see the artwork in this special edition.
I also imagined Addie with blonde hair. Yeah, like that.
I don't know if that's Henry or no, I think that's Luke.
Like Tuxedo Mask from Sailor Moon.
I know nothing about Sailor Moon. Anyways, this picture of Addie, if you were wondering.
But the other picture
has blonde hair.
I imagined her with brown hair.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she says that she has brown hair.
Lies.
Kellye was just inserting herself.
Fair. No, I was thinking like, I don't know, flaxen, like blonde hair, like
Marilyn Monroe is walking around.
Ooh, like who's the French girl from Harry Potter? Fleur de Cour or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I don't know because I was about to say LeFou and that was not right.
No, that's totally the fat guy from Beauty and the Beast.
Josh Gad, just like
Luke's like, I love you so much, Olaf.
Anyway, so we both said we have no idea if we would make the deal. What about you, Kellye?
I'm the interviewer here. I don't answer the questions I ask.
My answer is that I think I would be too scared.
Too scared to take the deal.
To change the way that something might be. Yep. I'd be too scared.
I think honestly, for me, it would depend on how long I had to like think about my situation, because I am a catastrophizer. And so the longer I have to think about something, the worse it gets in my head. And so
Kelly's like, can we come back here tomorrow and I'll let you know?
Yeah. Like,
let's stick a pin in this idea.
Most people, I feel like it's the opposite for most people. Like, the more they have time to think about it, the more their brain can like rationalize. Mine's opposite. The more time I have to think about it, the more irrational my thoughts get. So what mental illness is that? So if it was like a spur of the moment decision, probably I'd be like, you are crazy. But if I had like time to stew over it, I probably would be very emotional when he showed up.
Had she had proof that the gods were even real before this moment?
No.
Because she had talked about like praying to like the river god and the sun god or whatever, and like
nobody had ever answered her.
Well, she said things would happen. Like nobody showed up in physical form, but she was like, this person would get sick after she had prayed something, and so it was never like definitive.
I guess like me personally, I am so skeptical of like outer forces that if someone showed up and was like, I have magical powers and can fix everything, I'd be like, no.
I mean, he came out of the darkness. So
shadows from behind that tree over there at a convenient moment when I was desperate to put an object in the ground, and you're not real.
The forest went quiet.
I would be like,
he looks exactly like the boy you've been drawing your whole life.
Like Aladdin and be like, I bet you can't actually get me out of this cave.
You're blue, so what? I'm sorry, half of you is smoke. I don't think so.
I don't think he started looking like that drawing originally. I think that was something he took on later.
I thought he showed up immediately that way.
Yeah, I think he did.
He's been watching her.
It was the first. It was.
I thought that was something
She
that
was so thrown off about
he
it.
took on later to annoy her. And then he made her name him.
No, she. I think she named him.
He asked her what the name was,
He did ask her at one point what she calls him.
yeah, because she normally calls him, like the drawing she referred to as Lucian, and then she shortened it to Luke, and she said now it meant Lucifer.
Leon.
Hold on. Now we have to find.
Please, she says. Please. She says please a lot.
I just got a text from Amazon that my new book is here.
Oh, my book is right here.
No, not that one.
I hope this is what you still picked because I don't know what chapter this happens in.
I'm looking.
She looks up but sees nothing. Hello? The laughter draws itself into a voice somewhere behind her. You need not kneel, it says. Let us see you on your feet.
Okay, can I say something that really annoyed me really fast with like the audiobook was the whole like echoing thing. And then when she would like read the echoes and it was like Addie, Addie, Addie. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, stop.
Wait, okay. It says the voice spills from a perfect pair of lips, a shadow revealing emerald eyes that dance below black brows, black hair that curls across his forehead, framing a face Adeline knows too well, one that she has conjured up 1,000 times in pencil and charcoal and dreams. It is the stranger, her stranger.
Oh,
so he did show up looking like that.
I like the drama in your voice.
Why you gotta be here looking like that?
Yep.
Little Dolly Parton.
I do think though that like along the lines of identity, like this is something that I've thought about for a while, but specific to this book, I think labels are like important. And like she didn't identify with any religion specifically, and so like her name was her label, and like she labeled herself as this person's daughter, or you know what I mean. And I think Luke took that away from her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it was hard for her to like figure out exactly like how she fit into the world, because like at one point she decided she was going to be a spy for the French Revolution. Like another point she thought that she would like she was dressing like a boy, like not because she wanted to be a boy, but because like she was trying to like move around freely in the world, so and men can do that. Am I yelling?
No.
So anyways, but I think that like taking her name, like she couldn't say her name, she couldn't write her name, she couldn't tell her story, like she couldn't say anything about who she was or where she came from. And so I think like that he taking that away from her like bound her to him in a way, because he was the only one who had always been there and who knew her name and all that biz. So I do think having a name and having people know your name and all of that stuff, I think that is like, I think that's a key part of being a human being.
True.
Like,
have you ever heard of the book, The Child Called It? Because that's what I keep thinking about.
I've heard of it, but I've never read it.
Well, they never give the child a name. And it causes problems.
Ideas are wilder than memories. How does art, drawing, music, writing serve as Addie's way of existing in the world? What do you think the book is saying about legacy?
Well, this doesn't really answer your question, but I did think it was interesting.
It's classic line.
How do I come up with questions?
I do think it was interesting that it took me a while to catch on to this. The little art pieces that it was like talking about every time was like all the time she was captured in art.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was interesting.
You mean it wasn't random and just
Well, like for the first couple times, I was like, "What are y'all taught? Like, what does this even matter?" And it wasn't until like towards the end, after B kind of like put the pieces together, and she was like, "Look at this lady and all these photographs. It's the same one."
I think it was probably like because B was doing a thesis
Yeah.
on Addie, basically, and it was probably like art pieces that she had gathered throughout her thesis, like to
Well,
find this.
I thought she just found the books in
She
the bookstore.
she found that somebody else had mentioned it, but like
Well, yeah,
these
but if you're
women-
writing a thesis for a doctorate, like you have to do a little bit more than just
well, yes,
look through a couple books.
I think she got the initial idea from like a quote in a book at Henry's store.
But
Yeah, something like that.
it took me a little while to like piece together that those were all artworks featuring Addie.
I think it must have been fun for her, like to kind of like, I don't know, like nobody could photograph her, nobody could do any of these things to actually document her, but she found a way to like, it was kind of like a big fu to Luke, like
I think it's
she
interesting
found a way to do it.
that she like found those artists. Like
Right, like how do you know that like
she's an
this
art
is
critic.
the sketch artist that I need?
That dude right there, he's gonna be famous.
Right.
And if he
But
draws
then it
me,
makes me think of like in the Seven Sisters, how she just was kind of like in the scene, and so many people wanted to sketch her, or
Yeah.
use her as a model and stuff. And so it's like maybe she was just in the right spot at the right time where there was a lot of budding artists, and maybe like a lot more people used her as muses but never made it big.
or
Well,
like
I mean,
if you
she
look at
liked art a lot, so I imagine that's like the scene she was hanging out in as much as she could.
yeah.
Right. But like you only hear about the famous ones that she was in, but maybe there was a lot more that those
Yeah.
people just never became of anything.
Yeah, I don't think most famous artists are famous when they start doing art.
True.
First one out of the gate.
I think she's like, I know this guy is going to be like the best, so I'm going to have him pretend to capture me.
Well, even like they say all the time that artists' art is worth nothing until they die. So like even like Van Gogh and stuff like that, they talk about how they made no money while they were alive. But now like their artwork is famous. So
I don't know.
Doing.
I don't know. I'm not a dead artist.
you know what though? One day our podcast is gonna blow up.
Because we'll all be dead.
People are gonna wish that they had gotten the chance to meet us when we were alive.
It's kind of like watching a show and it only has 2 seasons, and you're like, what?
Or discovering
Oh,
it like after they've canceled it.
yes.
They say that about like the Heart of Dixie. Have you guys watched that show?
No.
So it got like canceled, and it seems so random, and then so many people fell in love with it during like COVID, but it had already been canceled. And so everybody's like, they need to reboot it now because everybody loves it, but nobody loved it when it was on. That's the problem.
I think that is why the 90s got rebooted, was because of COVID and nobody had anything else to do but sit around and watch Friends reruns. And so then all of these like children are like, oh, Friends is the best, or whatever. Insert 90s television show. That's why Wide Leg Jeans came back, guys, is because of COVID. So it's not all terrible. we got Wide Leg Jeans back. Okay, so what about the legacy part? What do you think the book is saying about legacy? We actually didn't answer any of that question.
I told you I wasn't answering your question.
I think art is Addie's proof to herself that she existed. I think that if you spend 300 years with no one remembering who you are, it's kind of like a am I even real moment. Like she talks about it with the trees. she's like, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, did it actually like make a sound?
Yeah.
Like-
well, even like anything she moves back. Like,
Yeah,
Like,
she
do we
breaks things. She can't even like start a fire to keep herself warm. Like,
Yeah.
although I
No.
did wonder when she had that like loft in the barn or whatever, and she said that normally like homeless people would take it over in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it was the summer, so nobody was there, so she like walled it off. So I'm like, how did that stay? Because you would think that would come down.
Walled something off?
Yeah, she was upstairs and she had found a way in through like a window or something. And so she had like made it so that nobody else could come up the stairs, and she had to sneak in and out through a window.
maybe because it was of no consequence. Like she could do things that nobody would notice that wouldn't impact like anything. Like she could, I think there was a spot, like she planted that tree by Estelle's grave. Like she planted that tree, maybe because Luke was there and he was like, okay, she can have the tree. But yeah, I think that she was able to do.
But you would think if she was all by her,
things.
if she was all by herself, you would think she could light a fire.
I think that a lot of the rules depended on what Luke was willing to allow her. So,
Probably.
But you would think then he would allow her to have a fire to stay warm.
No, because that gave her comfort. And in that moment that she was trying to build a fire, he didn't want her to have comfort. Wasn't that like, didn't they have a
he was
fight
like fickle
at that moment?
I don't know. I know that there was one point where he got so mad at her because she slapped him, so he made her old lady.
Yeah, I think that was the same spot in the cottage. But she also was the one who knocked over the candlestick in their house, and then their house went up in flames.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because I didn't think she was with him when she was talking about how she can't start a fire, but she can keep a fire going. And
No, that was when she was in the cottage after she saw the little boys in the woods, and then he came and he was like, "Why are you pretending to be a witch?" And she was like, "What else am I supposed to do?" Because then she went to
disappointed in her.
She went to like Estelle's cottage, and she was trying to start fires.
But then also when she like stays in people's houses, because like she was staying in that one guy's house while he was on tour or a business trip or something.
Mm-hmm.
So she eats their food and all this stuff. So when they come back, is their food just back?
Probably.
I don't think so, because Luke, at that one point she's eating chocolates. He's like, "And what do you think happens when the maid comes back and the chocolate's missing and there's no one to..."
Yeah, because she said that the servants were going to get in trouble for being drunk.
Yeah.
So maybe that was part of like his way of trying to guilt her into things, because she could steal, but there was like repercussions for somebody else for her stealing the thing.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I think a lot of it just came down to like what Luke decided she could and couldn't do, because even when she's talking about Henry and she thinks she got away with Henry because Luke made a mistake, Luke's like, "You think that was a mistake?"
Right.
And so I feel like that moment shifted everything for Addie. Like, what did I actually get away with versus what did Luke allow me to get away with?
Well, that also makes me think about like the end of the book too, because she's like, "Ha ha ha, he doesn't know that this thing." I'm like, he's known everything so far. Like,
Luke is always...
What makes you think this is the thing he doesn't know? What makes you think that you tripped him up on words?
Yeah.
Right. It made me think of the movie Luck of the Irish. When he's like, the lake, it's Lake Era. And then he's like, "My father's from Cleveland." And then they're like, the bad guy, like, "Ah!" That's funny. Makes me
Jill got froze.
It makes me think that like one day he's going to be like, I don't, they're going to be in some fight or whatever. And he's like, I don't want you by my side. You're done. And she's going to be like, ha, I'm free. Like Genie, like the cuffs just, I'm free. I can do whatever I want.
Okay.
So many references right there.
Jill's like, Disney, how can I work this in? Luck of the Irish and Aladdin. Twice
I mean,
on
I was
Aladdin.
Aladdin, but
Oh, that's true. You were Aladdin. Sorry. Well, was it you? Anyways. Okay. Number 3. Just so everybody knows, ChatGPT came up with this list. And I think it's really funny because they're like, let's talk Luke.
that's it. The end.
We've been talking about Luke.
And you know who Luke gave me the vibes of? Jack from Once Upon a Broken Heart. Which we read. I think that, like, he started out, like, both him and Jack start out as, like, they're like, I'm just a bored god, and this little wimpy human is praying to me, and so I'm gonna take advantage of them. And then they're like, ah, dang, this human is actually kind of nice. I don't have to be alone anymore. So that's what gave me those vibes.
Also, like, I wonder, does he visit all the other people? Like,
No.
I mean, for a while he was visiting her every year.
Every day they were living together.
But then, like, so Beethoven, whatever, made some sort of deal with him. But, like, how, he never visited Henry. Like, Henry didn't have, like, any sort of course, Henry's deal was only for a year. But I just find it interesting that somehow he, like, latched onto her from the very beginning.
He was like, wow, this woman who has never done anything in her life because she's a poor village woman in the 1700s is pretty amazing. I'm going to stalk her for the next 300 years.
Maybe he just wanted to see, like, what she would actually do.
I think that, like, when he first cursed her, he had no feelings for her. But then as she kept going and he was, like, coming back to try to get her soul, like, he started to realize that she was more like him and that she could relate to him. And that made him interested in her. And so he kept coming back.
Plus, she challenged him. It wasn't like,
yeah.
It wasn't like she was just, I mean, sometimes she was pretty, I want to say beggy. That is not the word, but she was basically like subservient to him. Like, but.
Which also made me feel the Hades thing more. Like a Hades and Meg situation.
Jill's like shipping people who are never shipped.
I'm sure somewhere out there is Hercules and Meg fanfic. I know it.
I'm sure. You should Google it.
They're Hercules and Persephone fanfic.
No, from Hercules.
Or, sorry, not Hercules. Hades and Persephone.
But yeah, I know somewhere, just like people make Draco and Hermione fanfics.
Oh, okay. I understand what you're saying now.
Meg and Hades fan fairy tale things. I know it. Okay,
since we're on Luke, I do want to mention that somebody commented on Instagram, Tiffany, because Kellye asked what the deal with Luke and Addie were, and Tiffany says, I think there's a cat and mouse. True enemies to lovers potential there. She doesn't and then she says the author doesn't often do sequels, but she would love to see their story.
Yeah, I don't know that I would want a sequel with Addie and Luke.
You don't want to see Addie try to outwit Luke, even though he's...
It seems boring, honestly. Like, kind of like when... Okay. I love Supernatural. It's like all-time favorite show. But literally they defeat the bad guy every season, and then the bad guy comes back, or like some version of the bad guy comes back, or there's some other catastrophe that they now have to save the world from. Like, and I know that that's the premise of the show, and I watched all the seasons, and anyways. But I'm like, there's shows that do that are just like, oh, the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and you're like, what a terrible life they live. Like, always hopping from one catastrophe to the next catastrophe. So I feel like that's what that book would be. It would just be
just them constantly going back and forth.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. So, but I love that she loves a sequel. I also love a sequel, just not this specific sequel. So I do feel sad for Henry, though, at the end of this book.
Yeah, because he just gets abandoned. And, like, mentally, he was preparing for, like, an end and a death. And then she just went and made a decision that he now gets to live without her.
And he just has to figure out that life.
And he also, like, probably doesn't have his curse anymore. So for the last year, he's been living this life of, like, people just love him. People, like, they don't see him for who he really is, but all this attention, all this, like, even the way his, like, family had been treating him for that last year.
Mm-hmm. And
then I would assume he went back to, like, pre-curse life. Yeah. That would be even worse.
I think, though, that after Addie, he had more of a direction. Like, I think before Addie, he was just kind of, like,
what's his direction now?
He became a photographer and an author. Like, he had famous photos that were, like, in museums and stuff.
Because he sold Addie's story, and then with that money was able to start traveling and collect other people's stories.
Okay.
So
through photographs.
Because of her, but still, like, it's kind of, I don't know. I think he would know that she gave up him, like, for him. You know what I mean? Like, and I imagine the way she left, you could just assume that she's with Luke or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I think that would be really hard to know that you were ready to die, and then the person you love, like, gave up their life, basically, so that you could continue to live without them.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
It's that Pinterest story where it's like the girlfriend the girlfriend goes into heart surgery and her boyfriend kisses her goodbye. When she wakes up, she's like, "Where's my boyfriend?" And her dad says, "Who do you think gave you the heart?"
What?
That was like prime 2012 Pinterest right there.
What? They don't take hearts from living people. He's like, hold on, let me go get in a car accident real fast so I can donate my heart.
She believed, he lied. Anyways.
Oh my gosh. I am glad that I was not subjected to that until now.
Yeah, but the first time you read it, you were like, yes.
He loves her so much.
You're like 11 years old.
But one thing that she also said, didn't she say something about, like, find the people who you're enough for, or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, she, like, tried to give him, like, advice before she left. Like, to be yourself.
So I wonder if, like, his success brought him, like, more confidence to be like, I'm not accepting less than what I experienced in that year. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
You know, because like you said, he did get that passion and success, whereas before he felt like he was being pulled in like a million different ways. I'm sure that would affect his like self-esteem. He was 28 and didn't have much going for him. But
well, and his family liked to point that out for him too.
Right.
So, and he was apparently addicted to drugs. So, or at least he enjoyed doing drugs. Maybe he wasn't addicted.
yeah, because I don't know that I would say he was addicted, because he easily gave them up when Tabitha came into his life.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like he he said specifically he stayed away from the hard stuff out of fear of them. So I mean, he did marijuana and he smoked cigarettes and he drank alcohol.
And he took whatever those pills were that his
and
sister
those like
was handing him.
anxiety pills or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. Pink umbrellas.
So when Henry
You'll get there.
story.
Give yourself a minute.
My brain was buffering.
Happens to everybody.
Okay. So when Luke meets Henry, right? Like Henry's sitting in the rain.
On a rooftop.
Was he on a roof?
Okay, I was confused about this because he does meet a stranger in the rain and he makes some kind of a deal. And then later on you find out that he was like about to jump off of a roof at another point.
Yeah,
And
like it's okay. That's what I'm confused about, because basically at the end it sounded like Luke saved him from killing himself. Like, and then they made a deal. But when they were telling about the deal, it didn't sound like he was sad, but it sounded like he had like sat down and then somebody came and sat down next to him and all of this stuff. So I was confused about that part. Who has answers for me?
I don't know, because I was confused when they first started talking about his deal and I didn't understand it. And I was like, well, I'll just ask about it during the recording. But then they were talking about how they went back to the roof, him and Addie, the night he was supposed to die, they went back to the roof. So I just kind of like pieced all the context clues together.
Wait, the first one that he tells, is that to Addie?
I think it was just the narrator telling the story.
Okay, because I know he lied to her. Well, not really. I mean, he didn't tell her the truth. And I didn't know if that was like he modified the story so that it didn't sound like he was jumping off a roof.
Yeah, I think it was just the narrator. I mean, I'm assuming that we're supposed to assume that Henry wrote this book.
Yeah.
Because Addie LaRue is a real person.
Hi, Addie.
This is actually a nonfiction story.
Tell Luke that we hate him.
Or
don't
maybe
let him
don't.
Curse us. Henry, we're sorry. I was trying to find Henry's.
V.E. Schwab is actually B.
Oh. Hey, B.
Hi, girl. How you doing?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
Okay, hold on.
In the social media world, tell us about how he died.
We're confused.
About how he died? He didn't die.
How he made his deal.
What's his deal?
Okay.
What's his deal?
Guys, rapid fire. Luke, charming or manipulative?
Manipulative.
Villain or misunderstood soulmate?
Villain. He's Hades.
Did your opinion of him change by the end?
I thought that he was worse. Listen.
I agree. I thought he was worse by the end.
I can call a scumbag when I see him.
Miranda has experience with scumbags.
I have 0. I met my husband and I married him.
Maybe you've seen your friends with scumbags. I don't know. Okay, question number 4. Henry's story hits differently. Why do you think V.E. Schwab gave Henry a parallel deal with the devil? Okay, this is the thing. I don't understand how Addie's deal is parallel with Henry's deal. It tried to explain it to me in the book as it does, and I don't understand how
I feel like
somebody living forever and nobody can remember them versus somebody lives for a year and everybody loves them. I don't understand.
I feel like both of their deals came down to like no one knows who they are. Like Henry, no one knows Henry for who Henry is. Everybody knows him for who they think that they want him to be, or like what they have decided they see in Henry. But it's never true and it's never right. So like no one knows Henry, and in a way that makes him invisible. And no one knows Addie because nobody can remember her and she can't leave a mark. So she's invisible. That's how I think they're paralleled.
I agree.
Well, also, like, in the book, like, they talked about how, like, their curses fit together.
Their
And I'm
curses,
like-
because they were both cursed by him, their curses are ineffective on each other.
Is that why, though? Or
Okay,
is
I
it
did wonder about
because-
that because Addie, like, Henry can remember Addie because that's what Addie sees in Henry. So, like, his curse is still affecting her, but it's, like, making her curse
Ineffective.
Yeah. So, like, I guess that's how it would fit. Like, it's not that they
But
both
also,
cancel
like-
each other out. It's that his curse cancels out her curse.
But then you would also think that her, like, he said that eyes, like, their eyes
Yeah.
got foggy or whatever, and
Yeah.
hers never did. And so you would think if the curse was working on her,
That her eyes
That-
would be foggy.
yeah.
Yeah, I did wonder that.
So we got questions that need answers.
Or maybe, again, it just goes back to Luke lets her have certain things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he does say that he, like, crafted that situation for her. That he put
Okay,
Henry
that's the second-
in her path.
That's the second part of the question. It says, do you think their love was real or just convenient? And my answer to that is both. Go.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I've always said that, like, love is a choice. It's not something that you just, like, fall into uncontrollably. So I think being around each other and enjoying each other's company, like, was a choice. But then also, like, Addie so wanted somebody to just remember her name and, like, to have second days with people that, because even when they got into that fight,
Mm-hmm.
like,
The, like,
a couple
argument or
days
whatever.
in, yeah, like at the restaurant or whatever, because he was like, where did you get the money from or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And she left and she was like, did I ruin this? And they just kind of like moved on from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in a way that was because she didn't want to give it, like, she didn't want to give this relationship up. She didn't want to walk away from the one person that she could have like a real relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think it definitely was like a choice to stay, which I think makes it real, like to choose to love somebody. But also, I think it was convenient because she didn't really
Right,
have
like-
any other choices.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I think that if he was a terrible person, that she probably wouldn't have chosen to stay, even if he could remember her.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like if he was yelling at her and telling she was
I already have
stupid
one
all the
terrible
time.
person who remembers me. I don't need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if they had met outside of their circumstances and they were just two normal people, do I think that they would have also fallen in love? Maybe not. But
I mean, maybe Addie from whatever century she was from.
maybe
What is that?
17, I don't know.
19th century?
Do I think that they were destined to be together no matter what? No. But do I think that they grew to love each other because they were spending so much time with each other? Yes.
And they took like a real interest in each other, and like
Yeah.
when they went to that movie and he had that panic attack and he was like, you've already done this, like I want to do something new. And so she took him to that like underground subway club or whatever. And that was like fun for them. And then when he took her to the Grand State Central Station because he wanted her to do something new, and she was like, I hate to break it to you, I already been here. I knew about this place already. And then he was like, no, just stand in this corner and listen. And like they were able to like talk along the wall. Like I think those little moments like showed that they knew each other. And they're like special moments, and they're things that you do for people that like you actually care about versus just like, we're stuck with each other.
I guess we're the only ones who can remember each other, so
Yeah. So I think they did have like a genuine interest and like concern for each other, and but I also think she just didn't have any other options.
So this made me think of like Henry's attempt at having a girlfriend after he got cursed. What was her name? Vanessa or something. So I was a little shocked when she lit his apartment on fire.
Not just the box of his ex-girlfriend stuff. She's like, this is what you want, right?
Yeah. They've been seeing each other for 2 days.
A week.
And she's like, oh, was it a week?
Yes. She's like, I love you. I'm going to light this on fire.
Yeah, that was bizarre. I would have been like, restraining order, please. Like,
I mean, he did get angry, and then he remembered that she was like under a spell, basically, and she was just acting because of that spell.
okay, I don't. Okay, she had to have been crazy to begin with.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Like, I don't think it was the spell that made her crazy. Like, the spell just made her see stuff in him that she wanted to see in a partner. Like,
I
it
guess.
didn't make her a crazy person. She did that all by herself.
It would drive me a little crazy if all of my exes suddenly were like, can we get back together?
I don't know what I was thinking. You're the perfect person for me.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh.
Yeah, he's even like, Tabitha showed up and he was like, you broke up with me. She's like, that's not what happened.
Gaslighting.
Yeah.
No.
And Robbie is like, I love you. He's like, no. And then that like random guy at the party that he was like making out with, and he's like, stop.
I need you to stop.
You want this? Why? Why are you asking me this?
Why do you want me? Because you're smart. How do you know I'm smart? I can just tell.
I thought it was funny that he started asking people those things. Like, why do you think this? Like, what caused you to think this about
And he
me?
had like a list in his head that was like, if they said these things, I will believe them.
Yeah, well, like when he was talking to B and she had said something about something. And he was like, oh, that is something a friend would say. Like, I believe that. But then she started saying, you're a really good listener. He's like, not. She's like, you're a really good friend. He's like, nope, I'm the worst. He's like, nope, this is the spell. He's like, this isn't happening. So I thought that was funny. Okay, we kind of talked about this already. The end. Was it satisfying or did it make you upset? We a little bit talked about that.
I think that I understand the story, the ending, and that I can accept it, but I hate tragedies.
Yeah. You like a happy ending.
Bad. Yeah, I'm reading a book. I want a happy ending.
We need to read that book that says, what does it say? It says it's happiness. What is it? Remember I bought this book at Target? Sheer Happiness in a book. We need to figure out how this fits in to the Purple House, the only Purple House in town. We need to figure out how that works into our book club. Okay, go.
Okay. So was it was the ending satisfying? No. Do I understand why it ended the way it did? Yes. Do I accept it? I guess.
Would you want a sequel?
No.
You're not interested in a sequel?
No, I do feel like this story was really long, but we'll get into that later, even though we were supposed to vote on our ratings before. Anyways.
Dang it. Yes.
I mean, we could always edit it so that it was like...
I did write down my rating So that before we got into this. So my rating is true to myself before this.
Okay, so what's your rating, Miranda? True to
Wait,
your
is
rating.
anybody else going to share if they were satisfied or not? Am I the
already
only one?
I already said that. I didn't like.
Oh, okay.
Well, I said that I wouldn't want a sequel.
Okay.
It's just like.
But do you
one
feel like the ending was satisfying?
CW
Were you like,
show.
did you close the book and you were like, or did you close the book and go, what the heck?
Okay.
I think
So if
more
I'm
than
being
what the
honest-
heck.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, though, I read the ending yesterday in case I didn't finish the book. So I read the ending and then I went back and finished the book. So I didn't know the whole story when I got to the end, but I don't know. Like, I wouldn't say it was not satisfying. I think it was just maybe, I don't know. The end.
I think I feel similar to how Henry felt. Like,
How, what?
because there was like this build up.
Henry feels
There was like this build up and this whole, this is how it was supposed to end. And then we're just kind of left with like what it was. And like, you just kind of walk away from it and you're just like
Okay, hold on. So I have a real
no.
answer. Okay. If you take away the part where like Luke comes up behind her and she's like, hey, hey, hey. If you take out that part,
Like if
I thought
it was
really
just her
cool.
in England getting the book.
Yeah, she overheard these girls talking about the book and this guy wanting to buy the book. And then she sees her name written on this book and realizes that her stories are published or whatever. I think that is a good ending.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even if it's not necessarily happily ever after ending, I think that that's a good ending. I probably could have done without the Luke part. And the
her
like,
turning villainous.
yeah, she's like, hee hee hee, I got him in my clutches, sort of thing. But I could have done without that. But I did think that her seeing her story published was kind of like a cool wrap up. That's my final answer.
I agree with everything said.
Great. Jill says, ditto.
Okay, Miranda.
Okay. I gave the book, I know this is not a rating on our thing, but I gave it 3.7 at 5 because I think it's better than pretty good. But I don't know. It was really long. There were a lot of moments where I was like, is this really necessary? Do I need to know about Reme? So I think that I think that its writing is really pretty and it has like visuals. Like it just like brought me into the book. And there's a lot of people in my mind that I'm like, they love an aesthetic book, and this would be a very aesthetic book for them to read. And I like enjoyed the story, but it was long.
Yeah. I do appreciate that there wasn't like a lot of world building. Those kind of books are like hard for me to
Where
read.
like chapter 1 is like info dump.
Yeah. Or the first 5 chapters are info dump and they're just like, here's the political system and here's the scenery and here's where this person lives and here's where this person lives and here's the backstory of these 5 people. Like, I'm like, please, can we just jump in? Can we just figure this out on the way? I'm not going to remember any of this. I'm not going to remember any of this. I'm going to make up my own story in my head. I'm not going to remember what you just told me, and it doesn't matter. So let's just skip these. Okay. Note to future
the
authors.
nice thing about this book is that Addie was also trying to figure out the rules. So
True.
You were kind of learning with her.
True. I would say a 3.5. I would say before this discussion, even a 3.5 would probably suffice.
I would say a 3.5 also.
Good job.
Final answer.
3.5. That's our final rating. This book would be good for people who like aesthetic readings with lots of quotes and a tragic ending.
This is so tragic. I mean, it's not like somebody died. It would have been tragic if Addie was like, I give up my soul for Henry or whatever. That would have been tragic.
That's true. I do wonder why Luke wasn't just like, well, give me your soul and I'll let Henry go. Like,
because she's like, you don't want my soul. You want me. He's like, true.
I do think that
Good point.
Luke as a god, I don't know that he's actually a god, but that he loved Addie to the abilities that he had that were not human feelings. That's my final thing on Luke.
I agree with that. I agree. There was one thing that somebody was asking about that I thought maybe I could tell the backstory of my ghost in my house.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are going to think it's so stupid. Okay, so we lived in an old house. It was like 30, I don't know. It was older than me. And I'm old. But it was, there was a weird vibe in my daughter's room. And there was a cross breeze between the bedrooms. So a lot of times the doors would like slam when you weren't expecting them to slam if the windows were open. And then sometimes we had like our living room was 2 stories tall. So like, and then I could see into the hallway anyways, I could see over the railing in the stairs. And sometimes I would be watching TV with the railing in my peripheral, and I would think that I saw like one of my kids walk by. But then when I would look, there would be no kid. And so I named our ghost. I decided it was a ghost, and I named him Jeremy. And I think that naming him made him less scary. And it was kind of like, it was kind of like, oh, it's just Jeremy, you know, like when weird things would happen, we're just like, oh, it's just Jeremy, it's fine. And so he kind of just became like our family house ghost. And then I got a lot of crap for this, but when we were moving to this house, it was literally like we're walking out the door, and I felt really bad for leaving him there. I was like, where's his family? I feel bad. And so just like real quiet, I was like, if you want to come, you can.
Kellye just invited a poltergeist into her house.
He's really nice ghost. It's fine. But yeah, so now in this house, sometimes I'll see somebody on the stairs when nobody's there. I'll see something like fly by the window, like outside.
Or a bird.
And then like a something, I don't even know. Like, not a bird.
It's just Jeremy playing outside.
Yeah. So, yeah. So anyways, we have a ghost. That's my ghost story.
There you go, Micah.
Okay, what are we reading next month, Jill?
All right, so next month, Miranda has it. Well, she has the physical book. I picked it. It's called Dragon Fruit.
I wish the cover was prettier.
I like the cover.
This is a sticker, and I'm going to try to peel it off.
I don't know how to say this name. We will link it, so follow our link, and then you can purchase it.
I would pronounce it Hannah.
No, that's not the author.
Oh, you're trying to pronounce the author's name.
Yes. It is set in Micronesia, which is like a part of Polynesia, I think. But it's set in the Pacific Islands. It says, a dazzling romantic fantasy inspired by Pacific Island mythology. So I thought that was kind of fun for the summer. It says, in the old tales, it is written that an egg of a sea dragon, dragon fruit, holds within it the power to undo a person's greatest sorrow. But as with all things that offer hope, when hope had gone, the tale came with a warning. Every wish demands a price. Hanalei of Tamarind is a cherished daughter of an old island family, but when her father steals a sea dragon egg meant for an ailing princess, she is forced into a life of exile. In the years that followed, Hanalei finds solace in studying the majestic sea dragons that roam the Nominomi Sea, until one day an encounter with a female dragon offers her what she desires most, a chance to return home and to right a terribly wrong. Oh, I don't know how to say this word. Sama something. Sam is the last remaining prince of Tamaride, but he can never inherit the throne for Tamaride is a matriarchal society. With his mother ill and his grandmother nearing the end of her reign, Sam is left with two choices: to marry or to find a cure for the sickness that has plagued his mother for 10 long years. When a childhood companion returns from exile, she brings with her something he has not felt in a very long time: hope. But Hanalei and Sam are not the only ones searching for the dragon fruit. And as they battle enemies both near and far, there's another danger they cannot escape, that of the dragon fruit itself.
Do you think her name is Hana Lee?
Maybe.
Like Puff the Magic Dragon?
I think the author's name is pronounced Makia.
Okay.
I just think it's important to pronounce people's names.
I do too. That's why I didn't try.
Now
we just had a whole discussion on names.
Now I'm gonna have to read the book.
The audiobook?
No, I'm gonna have to read the book with my eyeballs. That way, I could pronounce her name Hana Lee in my head.
Okay,
and not be corrected. Just kidding. I'll probably read the audiobook.
But I'm excited. I don't think we've done anything. I actually originally started looking for books in Australia, and then I was like, oh, let's go a little further out.
Yeah, I don't think we've had anything with dragons in it before, so
yeah,
that's different.
And it's not extremely long.
And it's not a mystery, guys.
Good job, Jill.
Good job.
Jill comes back and she's like, okay, so this is what I've deduced.
Here's my murder board. Okay.
In July, everybody who's listening, here's an announcement. In July, we're going to try to do a live. How that's going to work, I haven't figured it out quite yet. But
it'll be on TikTok.
I think that I can get it Instagram. On TikTok and Instagram at the same time. But just, if you aren't following us, follow us on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook, and we'll put up an announcement and we'll tell you where it's going to be, what it's going to be, what time
it's going to be. Like a snack and chat.
Snack and chat. You bring a snack and then we're going to chat.
Snack
and chat.
You're going to do it, Kellye. No. Snack. It's like a bend and snap. Snack and chat.
So anyways, come hang out with us live
in July. And we will also
talking about the book club. We're not talking about books necessarily. I mean, maybe if we're like books, reading books, but
this is just like a hangout. You're just coming to hang out with us
and chat.
Jill's gonna make up a dance for us for her TikTok.
So, also happy 3 years to us! Yay! Woo!
Yay!
Okay. Anyways,
3 years of magic.
That's it. Follow us everywhere because you want more of us.
Obviously,
can't get enough of us.
Okay. Anyways,
we're not too much already. It's fine. Goodbye.
Bye.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in to this episode. Don't forget to subscribe and then follow us on whatever social media platform you use the most. The link for next month's book is going to be down in the description below, so grab your copy and then make sure to share all your thoughts with us.